What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. Just wanted to show you guys an example of a Hasty fallout shelter. And what you're looking at here is just an old cellar that I found on a back road over here near where I live in upstate New York. You can see this little abandoned road here. And we're in the middle of the woods, and this is right near my house where I live. And you know what's funny is I always pass by this road all the time, and I've never been down this road just because I never had a reason to go down an abandoned road here that leads into nowhere. But you know, me being a curious person and being a woodsman, today it's Friday and I decided to drive down this road, and I found this little nugget here. And this is a great Hasty nuclear fallout shelter, okay? So for those of you guys who are not from upstate New York or the Northeast, this area here where I live, there used to be a lot of farms 100 years ago. Going back into the 1800s, a lot of the area of upstate New York was covered in farms, and a lot of these farms now have turned into forest, okay? And there's a lot of these areas where I live, and there's a lot of old remnants of old farms, and a lot of times you can see stone walls that the farmers used to use to keep their cattle in. And there's a lot of stone walls in the forests around upstate New York, especially in the part of New York where I'm at. And sometimes you could find these old buildings in the woods, you know. And this is why I always tell you guys to become intimately familiar with your local area where you live, because a lot of times you can find these little hidden gems here, just like this one. You can find something like this in your neck of the woods, but what you have to do is you have to get out there and explore your local area where you live, you know. A lot of people in the prepping community, they have these fantasies that they're going to bug out, and they're going to bug out to the wilderness and travel a very long distance and get to some secluded mountainous area. But that may not even be possible, you know, especially if you live in a suburban or urban area. You know, it may not be possible for you to reach your bug out location. So you need to find places close to where you live that you can realistically get to in a SHTF situation, and that you can use as Hasty shelters and Hasty fallout shelters, okay? And here's a perfect example of that, all right? And you just have to go out there and look for them, you know, spend some time, you know, become intimately familiar with your area, and try to find these types of shelters that you, like this, you know, that you can use as a Hasty nuclear fallout shelter. And I've talked about Hasty fallout shelters on my channel, and I've done a whole series on Hasty bug out locations, and you can check that series out. I'm gonna post a link up above. It's a 3-part series, the top 10 Hasty bug out locations. I did like 3 videos. I broke it up into 3 parts. So I'm going to leave a link up above so you guys can watch that. And I talk about what I think are the top 10 Hasty bug out locations. And when I say Hasty, I mean areas that you can quickly occupy without needing to build anything. You know, just basically an area that you can take shelter in, that all you have to do is just quickly reinforce and set up some type of a secure perimeter, and you're good to go, you know. And so here's a classic example of a good Hasty bug out location and a Hasty fallout shelter. And immediately what I like about this is that it's in a secluded area. We're far away from any kind of highways or any busy towns. The nearest town where there's a lot of people is a few miles away, and this back road here is off of another back road. So there's very few traffic, very few cars going through here. There's very little car traffic except local residents that live off of the road here. So this isn't like a high traffic area, and we're miles away from any big town or any highway. but this is something that I could easily reach. In fact, I could actually walk to this location and be here within 15 minutes. This is literally only 2 miles away from me, okay? Roughly 2-3 miles away. So I want to just show you the inside of this little cellar here. And there's a lot of poison ivy here, and that's not a problem because all I can do is I can just come here and spray this with some weed killer. And you know, this is on private property, so you know, you don't want to, you know, trespass or anything like that. But when there's a grid down scenario, nobody's going to be checking if you're trespassing or not. I mean, especially an abandoned building like this, nobody's going to be trying to kick you out, especially in a desolate area where there's nobody around. You know, this isn't really an area where people are going to really be too concerned with. But you can see it's quite big in here, and this is a solid concrete structure. And again, this was probably an old cellar from 100 years ago. You can see this old concrete here. It's got moss on it, okay? Look at all the moss here. And these are all poison ivy here, so you have to be very careful when you're exploring these types of area. This is poison ivy, and the way you could tell if something is poison ivy is poison ivy typically has like 3 leaves. So but what makes this thing really good is you see this big concrete wall here. This concrete is about 3 feet in diameter, and that concrete is really good at blocking gamma rays. You know, this is several halving thicknesses of concrete, and this will reduce the amount of gamma rays that penetrate through quite a bit, okay, to the point where it's basically going to be extremely safe in there. The only thing you have to do if you find something like this is you just have to reinforce the door here, because this just has this little wooden doorway here, okay. So you could reinforce this with sandbags. That's why I told you guys to get sandbags and stock up on sandbags, because you could use that for Hasty shelter, for ballistic protection, and for fallout protection. But you know, you guys should go out there, maybe even this weekend if you have some time. Go out and explore your area, explore some back roads, try to find these types of places, these abandoned farm cellars, caves, different types of structures that you can use as a Hasty bug out shelter or Hasty fallout shelter, and try to find these types of structures. And here's some more poison ivy here. You can see the 3 leaves, okay. That's how you easily identify poison ivy. If you see the 3 leaves together, that means it's poison ivy or poison oak. And you know, if it's more than 3 leaves, then that's just a Virginia creeper vine, okay. But go out there, guys, try to find yourself some Hasty fallout shelters and Hasty bug out shelters while the weather is good before winter sets in. And you know, a good reference for that, if you're trying to figure out what type of structures to look for, is my video series on Hasty bug out locations. So check that series out, and you'll get an idea of what type of structures to look for. But basically, you want anything that has a lot of concrete or stone around it, which is going to block the gamma rays. And another thing that's nice about this old cellar here is that it's kind of camouflaged, because you got these maples growing over the entrance, okay. So if somebody's observing this area or passing through this area, it doesn't stick out to the naked eye from far away, okay. You have to be pretty close to this structure to know that it's here. Even if I were to walk back 100 yards, I would not even see this structure here, because it's concealed by all the vegetation here, the maples and the ivies and the weeds, okay. Now obviously in the winter it would be more exposed once the vegetation dies off, but this would be a really good option for a Hasty bug out location or a Hasty nuclear fallout shelter. So that's pretty much it, guys. Just wanted to show you this. So I'm going to show you guys some other options for Hasty nuclear fallout shelters and discuss them more in detail. in subsequent videos, and when I complete my How to Survive a Nuclear War series that I'm currently working on right now. I'm trying to complete it. I have a few more parts to do. I finished the first 2 parts already, but I still have like 4 more parts to film, and I've just been so busy I haven't had a chance to finish the videos because of moving and a lot of things going on in my personal life. But I'm gonna get around to it in the next few days. I'm gonna release part 3, and so stay tuned to my channel for more videos on surviving nuclear war and for the rest of my nuclear war survival series that I'm working on. So get out there, guys. You know, this weekend the weather's supposed to be good in a lot of areas. So get out there and try to find yourself a place like this, a Hasty bug out location, a Hasty nuclear fallout shelter in your area. Forget about places that are 100 miles away or even 50 miles away. You need to find things that are within 5 or 10 miles away from you. And again, check out my top 10 Hasty bug out locations videos to get some ideas. But you know, any kind of solid structure like this is a really good option. This will also provide ballistic protection as well. This can also provide some weather protection. You know, you could even build a fire in there, not all the way inside, but let's say at the entrance, so you get some airflow and you don't get too much smoke inside of there. But you know, a cellar like this is going to have pretty stable temperature year round, just because it's partially underground and it's surrounded by so much concrete. Look at this concrete over here, guys. You got 3 feet of concrete there. So that's pretty much it. Just wanted to show you guys this real quick. And thank you guys for watching. Thanks for your support. And as always, take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere.